Hatarat Nedarim Uklalot, or just Hatarat Nedarim, or more commonly known as Hatarat. Hatarat is the annulment of promises, swears, vows, and something that we customarily do every year before the high holidays. So what exactly is a neder? What is Hatarat? When is it done? Who is it done by? And how is it done? So a neder is a promise, it's a swear, it's a vow, it's something that a person generally tells himself he is going to enact to either do something or more likely to prevent himself or herself from doing something. That's number one. The Hatarat is the annulment of that vow, because that vow basically hinders ourselves from being part and parcel of society. And we do this prior to the high holidays because we cannot enter the high holidays and come before God and request forgiveness and request all types of things that we want and need, while at the same moment we have basically put up this wall, a stumbling block, to prevent us from being involved wholeheartedly with the world around us and the world in which we live in. So what would be done? Hachamim would get together. Generally, either 3 or 10 hachamim, 10 preferably if possible, would set up themselves as a tribunal, as a court, and they would appoint one person from the congregants to represent them. This congregant, or hazan, or shaliach sibur, or a hacham himself, would stand with his back to the congregants while facing the tribunal of hachamim, like I said, either 3 or 10, and he would recite the words of the Hatarat, of this annulment. And everybody would just listen silently. The Beit Din, the tribunal, would listen to his words to see what he wants to say and if they're sincere. And the congregants behind them would also have to be silent, because if you have so many people reciting the same words at the same time, some are high, some are low, some are fast, some are slow, the Beit Din, the tribunal, cannot really hear and pay attention. So one person recites on behalf of the entire kahal. And at the end, the tribunal annul the vow, allow the person to move on. This is something that is done at 3 intervals. We do it 40 days prior to Rosh Hashanah, we do it Arab Rosh Hashanah, and we do it Arab Kippur. And in days of old, it was done on those exact days. But due to societal norms today, it has been changed, and it is done now on the Saturday night prior to each one of those dates. So it would be done the Saturday night prior to 40 days, the Saturday night prior to Arab Rosh Hashanah, and the Saturday night prior to Arab Kippur. And this is done to bring the people together, because it's very hard for people to gather in the mornings, but at night, especially on a Saturday night right after Shabbat, it becomes very, very easy to get together men, women, and children. In days of old, it was even more difficult for women to be involved, and they, of course, like men and everybody else, have to annul their vows for their prayers to be accepted on the high holidays. The hachamim would actually go to the homes, to the courtyards of the people. 4 hachamim would go, 3 would sit as a Beit Din, the 4th hacham would read the annulment service on behalf of the woman. And they would go around from courtyard to courtyard, from house to house, until all the women of the community had the Hatarat done for them. And this is something that is very, very important, that we do it not just once, okay, or not at all, as I'm hearing people today might want to do, but this is something that's important that it's done all 3 times. It basically sets the tone and gets us to really come to terms with things that we may have promised ourselves out of anger that we should not have promised, and to break down and to finally give in, so we could become part and parcel of the society of everybody around us, and hopefully that way Borei Olam could accept our prayers. Skul Hashem Rabot, Ne'imot V'Tovot.